business segment here on Joy News Prime with me, Beverly Broom. We go straight to our very first story. And senior finance lecturer at the University of Ghana Business School, Dr. Benjamin Amwa, is urging the Bank of Ghana to sanction banks and other financial institutions that experience fraud. A new report by the Bank of Ghana revealed that banks lost more than 50 million cedis in losses from fraud and over 20 million cedis from mobile money transactions in 2022. According to Dr. Amwa, digitalization has expanded operations in the financial sector. Hence, the central bank needs to use stringent measures.
It's a genuine concern. You cannot be banking with an institution that day in, day out has issues related to fraud. The reputational risk itself that the banks themselves suffer. Vis-a-vis the fact that for me, a client of the bank, I can't have my peace because I've been told that saving my money at home is risky. So I'm better off saving with a financial institution. And sadly for me to say that these same financial institutions are themselves exposed, then clearly one is justified to be worried. But what we can be assured of is that in many instances, so long as the customer did not contribute in any way to the fraud, the customer is exonerated. That is where we can have some level of relief. Behind the scenes, I believe Bank of Ghana is having interactions with all the service providers within the banking industry. And you see, if you look at the nature of banking now, the nature of banking now is not the solely brick and mortar, a branch over there that you are going to bank with. Now, even at your home, in your bedroom, at your workplace, you can bank because you have a lot of service providers who are providing one form of the value chain service within the banking space. So it is more now because we have a lot of flexibility and convenience in terms of banking. On the other hand, what is happening is that this has also exposed or opened up the regulatory responsibility of the central bank. They're talking about system integration. They're talking about a whole lot of work that must be done to make sure that the banking space is safe for all. Bank of Ghana must keep on educating us, releasing the report. And Bank of Ghana must also sanction these banks that are noted, or these institutions that are noted for allowing themselves to be defrauded, if I can put it this way, so that it will cost them more and they'll be forced to do the right thing. Again, today they can use artificial intelligence to also support because the volume of transactions now are more than what it used to be. So if technology can be deployed within that space, then it will enhance the quality of report and analysis to be done on the report to identify suspicious activities which can trigger an investigation to keep some of these activities from taking place.
Meanwhile, Chief Executive Officer of the Telecoms Chamber, Engineer Dr. Kenneth Ashibe, has attributed the increase in mobile money fraud cases to social engineering and lack of cyber hygiene.
If you look at the reduction in the numbers, it's quite marginal, about 1% in terms. But if you look at the value, the value went up, So, and this is 2022's report that we're looking at. So a lot of things have happened. One of them is that post-COVID, the number of people who now use mobile money and digital platforms have really ballooned. The numbers have increased. Be it that e-levy came and put a bit of a damper on it, but it has increased. And the people who financial inclusion has also improved. So people who used to did not used to use the service are also the numbers have gone up. And we still in our country, the level of cyber hygiene is quite low. There are some particular adverts that have been running on most of your media houses telling us about the fact that, don't give out your pins and all of that, but you still find people falling prey to these practices. And then you also have a lot more older people also beginning and using the services where they are not able to use the service themselves, but they have to depend on other people to help them do that. And some of those also now become vulnerable and people fall prey to these scammers. But the increasing, and most of the fraud that you find in our country is out social engineering. And you have a lot, these fraudsters becoming very sophisticated and changing their modus operandi. As you find an old one, then they change the way they're working. So all of that is accounting for the challenges that have been faced insofar as this mobile money incidents are concerned. And so what you also would have to do in this situation is that in our country, we need to increase the level of the awareness creation. We need to increase the education that we do. We need to also be able to show people some of these new fraud typologies that are coming up, so that we get our people becoming a lot more questioning.
Moving on, State Pensions Trust SSNIT is proposing an amendment to its act to increase deductions made from workers' basic salary as Tier 1 pension contributions. It is also supporting proposals to increase the retirement age from the current 60 years. These are part of suggestions to help sustain the pension scheme to improve benefits. Director General of SSNIT, Dr. John Ofori-Tenkwan, has been speaking on PMS Press Business Edition.
The law that we operate under currently, unfortunately, says that pensions where employers are obligated to pay pensions on basic salary. Yeah. Okay, and so that gives room for people to do all kinds of gymnastics as to what is basic, but rather than your total remuneration, right? Yeah. And I think that is something that has to change. And
you think it has to change?
Yes. And we at SSNIT have been thinking.
Proposal?
Yeah, we are working on possible amendments to our act, which we will table before our board and MPRA and the tripartite, and eventually it will make its way to Parliament, and those things can be changed
before the end of this year.
You know how this process goes.
Yes, but hopefully
we've done our part. We've done our part. So we're going to push it from us to NPRA and then to the tripartite, and then those things can go on. So, yes, what you are going to get will depend on what you came to insure. So if you are working for an employer and you look at your pay slip, and you see that that pay slip has only, 2,000 Ghana cedis as your basic salary on which SSNIT is paid. You can see it on your pay slip. Yeah. And then you have 4,000 as allowance, and the car allowance, and this as house allowance, and all of that. Salary. All those things. Then, you know what your retirement is going to look like. From my point of view as the administrator of the pension scheme. Now, I said to you in our conversation that when you retire, we pay you for life. So the longer you live, the more we have to pay. And you make a contribution up to a certain point for a defined period. And then we have to take the risk for an undefined period, right? So if people are retiring early and living longer, right, then the obligation on us as administrators of the scheme is a higher obligation. Okay? One, because we have to pay longer, and two, because during the time that they were working, they didn't contribute long enough. Okay? So increasing a retirement age, for example, would definitely make the scheme more robust.
To agriculture now, and some agric stakeholders are urging government to invest in agroecology. Agroecology is the use of environmentally sustainable practices in food production. Speaking at a national policy dialogue on agroecology, National President of the Peasant Farmers Association, Awal Aduwala, emphasized that agroecology is among many alternatives to improve agriculture.
The Directorate of Crop Services at the Ministry of Food and Agriculture, through the ECOWAS Agroecology Program, in collaboration with the Center for Indigenous Knowledge and Organizational Development and the Peasant Farmers Association, organized a national policy dialogue on agroecology. National President of the Peasant Farmers Association, Wepia Awal Adugwala, urged government to implement proceedings from the dialogue.
This time is very important because the cost of chemical inputs is very expensive. It started from 2021. We saw the Russia-Ukraine war came. There was a disruption in the supply line. Fertilizers were not coming. The fuels that were in the market were very expensive. And most of our farmers could not afford. And the implication was that most of the farmers who couldn't afford these chemical inputs that are being imported into the country have to reduce their farm size. And once their farm size were reduced, it also led to, of course, production is going to reduce, supply in the market will reduce. And it's not surprising last year with the inflation, the general inflation we're seeing in the country, a greater component of it was driven by food inflation because most of our farmers could not afford the inputs that were coming into the country. But we can tap into the indigenous knowledge of our forefathers to be able to engage in sustainable farming at a lower cost. And that is why promoting agroecology at this time is very, very important to our people.
National correspondent of ECOWAS Agroecology Program, Kingsley Ajiman, indicated that his outfit aims to implement initiatives targeted at addressing climate change, hence investing in agroecology.
One of the outputs of this ECOWAS Agroecology Program, which is a framework on agroecology, that is, ECOWAS expects all member countries to develop, to come together, to constitute what we call National Consultation Framework. That is, all the institutions, all the organizations that are championing agroecology in Ghana should come together under this one umbrella to champion agroecology issues in Ghana.
Other donor partners are the European Union, German Corporation. Maggie Nice is program manager of the 11th Hour project.
It is, at the same time a science and a set of production practices, but it is a social movement, and it's really focusing on how farmers who are at the center of producing food, whose knowledge is the basis on which agroecology is built. It involves traditional practices that people have been using for a long time, leguminous crops, using mulching, cover cropping, planting plants that are pollinators, pests, all these different practices, traditional knowledge. It shows that farmers really need to be at the center of transition and biodiversity and in nurturing the soils, which can then draw carbon out of the atmosphere into the soil. Because they are playing this vital role, as a global community, we really need to value the work that farmers are doing and the knowledge that they hold, and how are we adequately compensating for that.
Agroecology brings solutions to multiple sustainable development goals like zero hunger, food security, and climate change.
That we have.
Now, in the light of empowering the youth to take advantage of current job opportunities, the Springboard Roadshow Foundation, in collaboration with the MasterCard Foundation and Limehouse Production, has organized the Ghana Grows program to encourage students to develop the right skills to meet demand of the current job market. There's more in this report.
The Ghana Grows program is an initiative designed to improve employability of the youth and offer mentorship for budding entrepreneurs. The move, which is powered by the Springboard Roadshow Foundation with support from MasterCard Foundation and Limehouse Production, is expected to assist over 1 million Ghanaian youth between the ages of 15 and 35 gain access to dignified and fulfilling jobs. The program will also offer tailored sessions for persons with disability and special needs. Speaking at the training session, renowned Ghanaian leadership coach Professor P.K. Richardson explained the need to adopt a continuous learning attitude.
You can always learn something new. And the way the world is going, if you are going to continue to stay relevant and earn a good living and have a great life, learning should be part of your cake. Look at my own example. Trained as an electrical engineer, but I don't even know where my certificate is because it doesn't matter anymore.
He further encouraged the youth to challenge themselves and explore new habitats of work.
One of the most important, or perhaps the most important, is to be ready at all times to give up what you are for what you might become. Because if you are very happy with what you are, you will remain there.
Human resource consultant Rosie Ebe Arthur admonished students to develop skills which will meet requirements of the dynamic work landscape.
It's a big deal because there's a race to the top. Everybody wants to deliver something different. So be curious. Be curious, because all these things, you think it's far away from Ghana. It's not. It's going to impact us when it comes to the kind of jobs that you can get, because now we're in a borderless world. People are taking your jobs because you are not reskilling. So you go, the Chinese are taking your job, the Indians are taking your jobs because they apply and they've got the skill. What have you got to offer? What do you want to offer?
The second edition of the program was held on the theme Making a Difference and Exploring Untapped Job Opportunities, with a focus on reskilling and upskilling. The last edition of the Ghana Grows program, which will discuss opportunities in the agribusiness and digital space, will be held at the ICGC New Wine Temple.
We do some more stories now, and the Social Security and National Insurance Trust, SNIT, says its subsidiaries will continue to make prudent investments in the health sector to generate revenue and sustain its operations. To achieve this, the Trust Premium Center has launched an oncology services and a cancer care academy to reflect the hospital's unwavering commitment to improving cancer care and treatment outcomes for Ghanaians. The following report has more.
As part of its mandate, SNIT, through its subsidiaries, are expected to collaborate to make sound investments in various sectors of the economy. To attain this goal, the Trust Premium Center disclosed efforts to bring this to fruition by investing in cancer care and treatment. Speaking to Joy Business at the launch of its oncology services, the chief executive of the facility, Dr. Julina Oye Ahmed, said the services bring together a highly skilled team of professionals, oncologists, surgeons, nurses and support staff who are passionate about delivering the highest standard of care to Ghanaians.
The name, when people hear Premium Center, they are thinking of high money, they are thinking of big money. But the premium is not talking about the cost of the care. It's talking about the value addition that we are bringing to the management of patients. And we try to make the cancer care as affordable as possible. So it is not on the higher side, it is affordable. And also the investigations and the treatments are also affordable. We are working with our partners. That's why the theme this year talks about partnerships for improved outcomes. We need to do a lot more collaborations. The government needs to partnership even with the private sector, and the private health facilities also need to come together in the care for cancer patients. We also call on the NHIA. They've done a marvelous job by rolling on a number of cancers onto the scheme, and we ask even for more collaboration, especially in the area of testing.
In a speech read on his behalf, the Chief Executive Officer of the National Health Insurance Authority, Dr. Bernard Okoboy, commended the Trust Hospital for its timely and groundbreaking initiative.
The NHIA wishes to commend the Trust Hospital Company Limited and its partners for this laudable initiative. That is the Trust Care Academy, or setting up your oncology department. It goes without saying that for any policy to succeed, it requires extensive stakeholder engagement and the delicate expertise of bringing the right actors to the table.
We turn our attention to the Ashanti region now, where leader and founder of the Calvary Charismatic Church, Reverend Ransford Obeng, has called on the government to increase investments into the National Health Insurance Scheme for efficiency in service delivery. He says enrollment and access to quality health service delivery are impeded by low investment in the scheme. The CCC is paying the premium of 1,000 children and mothers in the Ija community in Kumasi under the church's mass NHIS enrollment program. The following report has more.
The National Health Insurance Scheme is a social intervention program introduced by the government to provide financial access to quality health education. The scheme is largely funded by the National Health Insurance Levy, which is a 2.5 levy on goods and services collected under the value-added tax. Head of the Calvary Charismatic Church, Pastor Ransford Obing, wants the government to continue making huge investments into the scheme for sustainability and effectiveness.
Saying is that one of the things, when the money is given, I want to appeal to all politicians. There are certain money we don't touch. You know, there are certain money you don't touch. Everybody will go to the hospital one day. Today you are in power. So you have the, maybe you have access to go to overseas and travel and get visa. By the time may come, you are Ghanaian. Something can happen, can refuse you the visa. Everybody at all can be refused a visa. And then maybe the sickness is so critical, you don't have the opportunity to go to another place. What will you do? So we should not joke with the scheme.
The Calvary Charismatic Church has a target of enrolling over 1,000 women and children onto the NHIS scheme. Pastor Obeng pleaded with the government to cut down on administrative costs to fund the scheme.
When we pay the money, let's make sure that the administrative cost is just a little. And let everything go to the field. That's what I'm saying. But if the administration cost is so much, then what is it? Then you destroy everything, the good idea that we have. So all that I would tell the politicians, they should look at the administrative system. If it's too much, the administrative cost is too much, they should reduce it so that it can get to the grassroots while we are paying it. I want to help them because I want everybody to be healthy in serving God. So the little that I can do, I said, let me do this to register people who have not been able to register. There are some, he has a lot of children, so he can't register all of them.
Some beneficiaries of the CCC's mass NHIS enrollment are enthused at the intervention.
Because me was feeling na me dream sana me kwako renew me nyane de ene me de me ba ya abo me ye be ekoso kama ti da Pastor Ransford me da na sene the whole CCC church no so do mu nyina asia me sure.
For Joy News, Nana Boachi Dankwayadom reporting.
And that's our package for tonight. We have more business stories when you log on to myjoyonline.com/business. I am Beverly Broom. Next is sports with Razak Musbao. Have a wonderful weekend.